I'm really curious to know, will you adopt the same playbook when you think about AI integration into the organization? What would you take forward to a scenario of integrating AI into the organization? And what would you add on, which you didn't have to in this particular scenario because it was not AI implementation?
Those phases that I highlighted, like again, ignite and listen, excite and discover, implement, and then get to this idea of adoption and mastery. I think what's different from an AI perspective is there's an even more human element here. Like it's again, one thing to change your word processing application or your email client, even though those products have using AI dramatically now and shifting how we work with them, regardless of whether Microsoft or Google. But again, this underlying tension of, well, am I going to actually work myself out of a job? I think it's very different now. So I think there's a whole new sensitivity that has to be placed on that effect. I always come back to Dr. Kubler-Ross's stages of grief, which isn't about technology at all, isn't really about business at all. Stages of grief, death and dying. But those 5 stages really describe things so well. And this acknowledgement of going through the 5 stages of grief, and certainly at different paces, is enlightening. And especially when we're talking about people's actual livelihoods and how they perceive, how they fit in, and can they pay their bills, and like all of the things that go beyond just the actual work.
And you know, with lack of information, people make things up, and it's not normally kind, right? Like they make a lot of assumptions and go up the ladder of inference, and all of a sudden they're even more afraid, and fight or flight happens, freeze. But you don't want to paralyze your organization because they're making up stories, because you're not keeping them in the loop and you're not communicating. I think there's an opportunity for organizations to try things on a smaller scale and help people go along that journey and learn, because it is quite complex, and get good at, following those sorts of stages, and get good at listening, really thinking about how you're understanding what people are going through, and then really share those stories and what was the process, and get people to collaborate on just bringing people along on the journey so that they start to understand it, they hear it, they see it's not so scary before you try to take on something like a massive transformation. Because I think you don't want to skin your knees on that one, right?